Hello everyone, thank you for joining me on this channel, Adults ESL Online Learning. I'm Dr. Hernandez-Smith. In this video, I'm showing the Bilingual Education Exceptions and ESL Waivers announcement. This announcement comes from Texas Education Agency, date October 12, 2023, subject Bilingual Education Exceptions and ESL Waivers. The category is Emergent Bilingual Students. The next steps: share with appropriate staff to ensure accurate filing of exceptions and waivers. The 2023-2024 Bilingual Education Exception, English as a Second Language ESL Waiver application, instructions, and additional resources are now available on the TEA Bilingual Exception and ESL Waiver Resources webpage. All local educational agencies, LEAs, including all districts, charter schools, and districts of innovation, are required to identify and serve emergent bilingual EB students through bilingual education or ESL programs, per 19 Texas Administrative Code, TAC 89. Chapter 89.1205. Pursuant to 19 TAC 89.1207 A1 and B1, an LEA that does not have the appropriately certified teachers for their required bilingual education and or ESL programs must apply to the Texas Education Agency for a bilingual education exception or ESL waiver. The approval of an exception and or a waiver shall be valid only during the school year for which it is granted. The application's narrative responses require LEAs to explain how the students under the bilingual education exception and or ESL waiver will temporarily be served with alternative methods to meet the students' affective, linguistic, and cognitive needs and align as closely as possible to the required bilingual or ESL program. LEAs that apply for a bilingual education exception and or ESL waiver will complete the consolidated application form for the 2023-2024 school year. The consolidated application will require LEAs to complete both sections, Part 1 and Part 2, linked in this fillable PD form. Number 1, Part 1 is an Excel file with the LEA's need for bilingual education exceptions and or ESL waivers, with information including A, campus name, B, affected grade levels, C, teachers being placed under an exception or waiver, D, the language of instruction in bilingual education programs, and E, the number of students who will be served. 2. Part 2 require a narrative description of the following. A, the alternative methods that will be closely aligned with the bilingual ESL program and will meet the students' needs. B, an action plan that must include 3 to 5 documentable activities the ELA will complete during the year. The activities should demonstrate support for teachers seeking certification. 2, reflect efforts to recruit certified teachers to the LEA. And 3, strengthen program implementation by preparing teachers under the bilingual exception or ESL waiver to better serve the needs of the LEA's EB students. C, a comprehensive professional development plan targeting the competencies needed to serve EB students. At least 10% of the total bilingual education allotment BEA funds must be utilized to fund the professional development mentioned in the plan, regardless of whether the LEA is applying for a bilingual education exception, an ESL waiver, or both. All applications are due on or before November 1, 2023. Both parts of the application, the completed data submission, Excel file, and the narrative responses, PDF, must be submitted to the TEA as attachments to bilingual exceptions _ ESL waivers at tea.texas.gov. LEAs should anticipate communication from the TEA staff in the weeks and months after submission for the following reasons. A request for additional information is needed. B, to discuss the action plan, supports, and resources, and C, for the final decision. Prior to filling a bilingual exception ESL waiver, LEAs are encouraged to review the scenario chains for bilingual programs and ESL programs in order to calculate the need for an exception or waiver. For answers to frequently asked questions, see the Bilingual Exceptions ESL Waivers FAQ. Frequently asked questions. If you have additional questions or need additional information regarding bilingual education exceptions and or ESL waivers, please contact the Emergent Bilingual Support Division at emergentbilingualsupport@tea.texas.gov. Here is the TEA Bilingual Exception and ESL Waiver Resources page. Application requirements for bilingual education exception and ESL waiver. LEAs, including school districts, districts of innovation, and open enrollment charter schools that are unable to provide the appropriately certified teachers to implement the bilingual education program, must request the Commissioner of Education an exception for the bilingual education program and approval to offer a temporary alternative language program as per 19 TAC 89.1207A. Local LEAs, including school districts, districts of innovation, and open enrollment charter schools that are unable to provide the appropriately certified teachers to implement the ESL program, must request from the Commissioner of Education a waiver for the ESL program and approval to offer a temporary alternative language program as per 19 TAC 89.1207. All applications are due on or before November 1st, 2023. Complete both parts of the application and submit to TEA as attachments to an email to bilingualexceptions _ ESL waivers at tea.texas.gov. Notice the underscore after the word exceptions in the email address. The district's bilingual ESL contact person may complete the exception waiver application, but the application includes an assurance that the superintendent has reviewed and approved the completed application prior to submission. Contact the Emergent Bilingual Support Division with any questions related to the bilingual education exception and or ESL waiver requirements and application process at emergentbilingualsupport@tea.texas.gov. And here is the application and instructions. There are 7 pages. It says TEA, Emergent Bilingual Support Division, Bilingual Exception, and ESL Waiver Application. All local All LEAs, including school districts, districts of innovation, and open enrollment charter schools that are unable to provide the appropriately certified teachers to implement the bilingual education or ESL program, must complete the Commissioner of Education must request from the Commissioner of Education an exception for the bilingual education program and or an ESL waiver for the ESL program and approval to offer temporary alternative methods as per 19 TAC 89.1207 AB. This is a provisional measure taken to report the current needs of the district and to specify the actions to be taken in order to secure appropriately certified staff, provide training and support to the teachers under the exception waiver, and to verify the implementation of a temporary alternative method, alternative language program code that will continue to meet the effective linguistic and cognitive needs of the emergent bilingual students and aligns as closely as possible to the required bilingual or ESL program. The district's bilingual ESL program contact and or human resources contact may complete and submit the exception waiver application. Additionally, the application includes a verification that the superintendent has reviewed and approved the application. All applications are due on or before November 1st of the current school year. Enter in the school district name, the district education service center, the county district number, bilingual education exception, yes or no, the ESL waiver, yes, the superintendent name, email, the bilingual ESL contact name, human resources contact name, the bilingual ESL contact name and email, and then the human resources contact name and email, and the superintendent name and email. The bilingual education exception ESL waiver application has two parts. Part 1, district information, data dashboard application is Excel file. Part 2, alternative methods, alternative language program code, and recruiting activities, fillable PDF. Completed applications must be submitted to TEA with both attachments and emailed to bilingual exceptions _ ESL waivers at tea.texas.gov. The file name must follow this format: full district name, no abbreviations, plus bilingual education exception or ESL waiver as applicable. The files must not be converted to a zip file nor the Excel file converted to a PDF file. For answers to frequently asked questions, see the Bilingual Exceptions ESL Waivers FAQ. For additional questions or clarification regarding bilingual education exceptions and or ESL waivers, please contact the Emergent Bilingual Support Division inbox at emergentbilingualsupport@tea.texas.gov. Bilingual education program. If not applicable, please type NA. What are your bilingual education program models? DLI one-way, two-way, or TBF late exit, early exit? What are your bilingual education program models you are implementing? DLI one-way, two-way, or TBE late exit, early exit? If your district is implementing multiple bilingual program models, what is the rationale for this? Dual language immersion, one-way, dual language immersion, two-way, transitional bilingual education, late exit, transitional bilingual education, early exit. And then the grade levels and number of campuses. And then the rationale for implementing multiple bilingual models. If it is not applicable, type an A. What are your ESL program models you are implementing? If your district is implementing both program models, what is the rationale for this, and which student data elements were used to make this decision? Content-based ESL, grade levels, number of campuses, pull-out ESL, grade levels, number of campuses, rationale for implementing both program models, and student data elements used to make this decision. Part 1, District Information, Data Dashboard Submission Application File, Excel file. This part of the Bilingual Education Exception ESL Waiver application is an Excel file and includes color-coded sections for completion 89.1207 AB. Yellow, tabs 1, 4, and 5 complete if submitting a Bilingual Education Exception ESL waiver or both. Blue, tab 2, complete only if submitting a Bilingual Education Exception. Tab 3, green, tab 3, complete only if submitting an ESL waiver. So complete this information. Here are the instructions, district information. Here's the blue tab, the ESL waiver, and assurance instructions. So here's the district information, complete, no dash, CDN, district, ESC region, superintendent, salutation, first and last name, and email. Emergent bilingual student district-wide, the name of the bilingual ESL human resource contact and their email address, and their phone number. Skip if not applying for a bilingual exception. Bilingual certified all personnel employed in the district. Bilingual certified teachers currently teaching in bilingual education program, and teachers need to instruct EB students ELs under a bilingual education exception, Spanish. Teachers needed to instruct EB students ELs under a bilingual education exception, languages other than Spanish, and teachers needed to instruct students ELs under a bilingual education exception, Spanish and other languages. Skip if not applying for a ESL waiver. All the CDCs, campus, language of exception, no abbreviation, kinder, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Students, classrooms, teachers, and ESL waiver, CDC, campus, expected ESL certification date, PK, kinder, students, classrooms, teachers, pre-K, kinder, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 12. Same, students, classrooms, teachers, and then the total will be here. This is part 2, alternative methods, alternative language program code, and recruiting activities. Alternative methods. What is an alternative language program ALP code? Students under the Bilingual Education Exception or ESL waiver will temporarily be assigned to participate in the alternative methods and apply an alternative language program code, and their instructional environment is as described in the district's application, Part 2, for the current school year. Teachers providing core content instruction to students with the ALP code will be supported by the district's comprehensive professional development plan. The instructional environment for students with the ALP code must align as closely as possible to the district's required bilingual or ESL program in which the student is participating, meet the effective linguistic and cognitive needs of the emergent bilingual students, and provide students the opportunity to master the essential knowledge and skills of the required curriculum, including TEKS for foundation and enrichment areas, the English Language Proficiency Standards, ELPS, and College and Career Readiness Standards, CCRS, 19 TAC 89.1207A1B and 89.1207B1B, as they develop effective literacy and academic language skills in the program primary language when applicable and English. What are the applicable alternative language program ALP PEAMS codes? The PEAMS alternative language code table will only be utilized if a district submits a bilingual education exception and or ESL waiver, and must be used in combination with the appropriate PEAMS parental permission codes as described below. The Code Guide for Bilingual and ESL Program Association for Bilingual and ESL Program Association provides further details on how to appropriately use the codes for participating students. A parent of an EB student approves placement of the student in the bilingual education program, but the teacher is under a bilingual education exception. The student's parental permission code is E. The alternative language program code is 01, and the bilingual education ESL program codes are 0. If the parent of an EB student approves placement of the student in the ESL program, but the teacher is under an ESL waiver, the student's parental permission code is J. The alternative language program code is 02, and the bilingual ESL program codes are 0. If applying for a bilingual education exception only, complete sections 1 instructions. If applying for a bilingual education exception only, complete sections 1, 3, and 4. If applying for an ESL waiver only, complete sections 2, 3, and 4. If applying for both a bilingual education exception and ESL waiver, complete all sections. Save a copy of this form prior to submission. Maintain all supporting documentation at the local level. Maintain all supporting documentation at the local level. Section 1. Bilingual Education Exception Alternative Language Program Code. Complete this section if applying for a bilingual education exception. Features of an instructional environment with a bilingual education exception ALP code. The temporary alternative language program code for a district's required bilingual education program may be described, and it may be described an instructional environment with one or more of the following scenarios. Aligned to intended bilingual program model. The teacher follows the district's language allocation plan for the intended bilingual program model, including delivery of primary language instruction. The district's intended bilingual education program model aligned to TAC 89.1210C is provided by a teacher who is expected to obtain bilingual certification within the current year. Supplemental primary language support. In addition to one or more of the above program features, EB students receive additional primary language support from other educators, including paraprofessionals. This support may not be sufficient to mirror the intended bilingual program model, but adds the element of primary language development to the 3 instructional scenarios described above. Aligned to ESL content-based program model. TAC 89.1210D1. Emergent bilingual students receive all of their content instruction in English, reading and language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies by a teacher who holds a valid classroom teaching certification appropriate for grade level and subject areas, as well as ESL certification. Note: content-based language instruction (CBLI) practices will be part of the instructional environment. EB students will receive all content area instruction in reading, language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies by a teacher who is trained in CBLI instruction, sheltered instruction. Bilingual education program using an alternative language program code description, strategy, implementation. Provide a brief description on how the proposed instructional environment with a temporary alternative language program code for the district's required bilingual education program will meet the affective, linguistic, and cognitive needs of the EB students. Include a description of how the program may differ across multiple campuses or grade levels. Here is the activity, affective goal, linguistic goal, and cognitive goal. The activity completion, August through October, November through January, February through April, and May through July. Section 2, ESL Waiver Alternative Language Program Code. Complete this section if applying for an English as a second language ESL waiver. Features of an ESL ALP code. The temporary alternative language program code for a district's required ESL program may consist of one or more of the following activities: content-based language instruction. Emergent bilingual students, English learners, receive all of their content instruction in English, reading, and language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies by a teacher who is trained in content-based language instruction, sheltered instruction. Supplemental ELD support. In addition to one or more of the above program features, EB students, ELVs, receive additional English language development support from their educators, including paraprofessionals. ESL program using an alternative language program code description. Strategy of implementation. Provide a brief description on how the proposed temporary alternative language program code for the district's required ESL program will meet the affective, linguistic, and cognitive needs of EB students. Be sure to describe how the program may differ across campuses or grade levels, but ensure the linguistic and content-based and content needs of students are met. Activity describes the instructional environment. Goal of the activity: affective, linguistic, cognitive, and activity completion. Section 3, action plan with recruiting activities. Complete this section if applying for a bilingual education exception, ESL waiver, or both. Targeted recruiting activities planned for the current school year. Provide the district's action plan for the current school year. The plan should include 3 to 5 documentable activities the district will complete during the year. The activities should 1. Demonstrate support for teachers seeking certification, 2. Reflect efforts to recruit certified teachers to the district, and 3. Strengthen program implementation by preparing teachers under the bilingual exception or ESL waiver to better serve the needs of the district's emergent bilingual students. Annual plan. Activity. Goal for the activity. Activity tracking. Person responsible for implementation. Section 4. Program evaluation and comprehensive professional development plan. Comply with the following reporting requirements by maintaining supporting documentation as described in this section when applying for a bilingual education exception, ESL waiver, or both. Program evaluation documentation. Include the following in the annual district report on educational performance of the bilingual education or ESL program as described in TAC 89.1265C. The number of teachers for whom an exemption or waiver is being filed. The number of teachers for whom an exception or waiver was filed in previous year who successfully obtained appropriate certification, and the frequency and scope of comprehensive professional development plan implemented as required under 19 TAC 89.1207A1D or 89.1207B1D. And results of such a plan if an exception and or waiver was filed in the previous school year. We have district support, number of teachers for current school year, exception and waiver, number of teachers in the previous school year, exception and waiver. Comprehensive Professional Development Plan 89.1207A2CB2C. The Comprehensive Professional Development Plan should include the use of the 10% from the BAA funds to provide targeted PD for the teachers under an exception or waiver. A. To prepare for the certification exam before the end of the school year. B. To equip them with second language acquisition practices and evidence-based strategies that positively impact EB student outcomes. C. To build capacity with other teachers that may serve EB students. Type of PD: language acquisition, second language acquisition, literacy and biliteracy development, certification preparation. Goal of PD type: teachers required to attend, completion and outcome. TEA contact information: bilingual exceptions _ESL waivers at tea.texas.gov. LEA acknowledgements: we certify that we have completed this application accurately to the best of our knowledge. We certify that the action plan includes measurable targets for the school year, and if applicable, that we have reviewed the action plan from last year and we're developing the measurable targets for the school year. We agree to support teachers under a bilingual education exception and or waiver and or ESL waiver. We agree that the Commissioner of Education approves the requested waiver. We will follow our action plan and comprehensive development plan. Bilingual education contact, date, signature. Human resources contact, date, signature. By signing below, I agree that all of the appropriately certified teachers available in the district will be assigned to the grade levels beginning with pre-kindergarten, followed successfully by subsequent grade levels to ensure effective early literacy development and meet the linguistic academic needs of the school's system's EB students required by 1989.1207A1C and B1C. I further agree that all teachers included in this application will receive the appropriate professional development to better serve the EB students at the school system in all instructional environments, and will also receive preparation to become appropriately certified. Date and signature of superintendent. I hope this video was helpful and gave you some information about the bilingual education exceptions and ESL waivers. And all this information can be found on ta.texas.gov. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.